checking in with chapter 21 and 22 of Mss Mcknz by Anthony Trollope. God damn, Anthony Trollope is such a great, good author. I was puzzling over the last chapter because our heroine, Mss Mcknz, got engaged to John Ball. And it's like, oh, this is a guy who actually loves her. She actually loves him. She turns out that the money that she inherited from her brother wasn't supposed to go to her. It was supposed to go to her cousin, John Ball. Well, we won't go into that whole cousins getting married thing. Apparently that's an okay thing at this point in Victorian history. It's nothing to be questioned about. But and I was like, oh well, no, are we just going to get a slow kind of gradual wrap up of the book, kind of Anthony Trollope style? And it's like, nope. Nope. Anthony Trollope pulls in another complication, which, I guess for a different author, you would think, oh, okay, of course that would happen. But for Anthony Trollope, you never know. Is there going to be, is it just going to be kind of a gentle closing things? Like, no. We go to Mr. Maguire, the asshole evangelist, who is like, I still, he's gotten these letters from her saying, like, I don't have any money and I don't wish to marry you. Goodbye. And like two letters to that effect. But he thinks, oh, she's gotten to the hands of the enemy. She sent the letters from the Cedars. This is her rich relatives who've got their hooks into her. And I need to press my case. So he comes down to London. He goes to Mrs. Tom because he thinks, oh, she probably isn't still at the Cedars, but no, given the news that he's still at the Cedars, which is where the balls are, goes there. Meanwhile, they've broken the news to Lady Ball. Mss Mcknz, Margaret, and John have broken the news to Lady Ball that they're going to get married, and she is pissed, and she doesn't want to even talk to her at all, like giving her the silent treatment. Very, very, she's being completely, and he's like, oh, we have to be firm. And it's like, she's had a hard life and things like this, and she's like, okay, well, I'm willing to kind of put up for that for you, John, and all that, and then what happens? He goes off to his work, his stockbroker kind of being on boards and stuff like that. And who should show up but Mr. Maguire? And he tells Lady Ball that, oh, I'm engaged to her. I'm engaged to Margaret. She's like, you are you? And immediately sees that how this can go to her advantage and how she can pry off what she views. And what she views as Margaret being an opportunist. And taken from the outside, not being completely on Margaret's side, you might say it's like, oh, she'd already turned him down once when she had money. And now she doesn't have money, and the money's going to her son, and suddenly she's interested now in marrying her son. So you can be forgiven that she's fairly stopped up of she doesn't, she's not receptive to Margaret's great goodness, charm, just wonderfulness. She does not get that because she's Lady Ball. So yes, she brings her in, at which point Mr. Maguire, who is a blackguard, a blackguard, he gets branded such later in the thing, says, Margaret, come to me, we're true love. And it's like, I wrote you those letters and we're not engaged. Oh, and and Lady Ball is just drinking this all in, and it's like, yeah. And she says again, yes, I told you I have no money anymore. I'm completely penniless. And she sees Maguire's face kind of drop at this news. And suddenly all his stuff of like, well, I'm going to do this because I'm going to enrich the church. Suddenly it's like, well, I couldn't put the church into penury by marrying a penniless woman. And suddenly he's off. and it's like, yeah, he doesn't care anymore. But the damage is done. When John gets home, she waits, and Margaret makes the point of like, look, I'm not going to jump in and try and head this off. If John truly loves me, he's going to get this news, but it's not going to shake his love for me, and he'll actually, give me a fair hearing and all that. Finally, that does happen. Also, his father seems to be, his grandfather seems to be failing fast or something like that. We're not quite sure. That may or may not be a thing, or it may be a technique by Lady Ball, who seems to have lots of energy to stymie this part. But well, it's her grandson, son. I should get that sorted out. But um, he gets the news, and he's like, well, what is this? And he's like, he is upset. And she shows him the letters, which prove her point. And she goes, oh, well, he's definitely is a blackguard. Do you have anything else to say? It's like, are you going to, say that, you find my truth or anything like that? And he's like, no. He does like, well, that's very good. I'll talk to you in the morning. And he really doesn't want to, he wants to think it over. But there's also a part of him, he does say later, because she's like, well, fuck. He doesn't love me. He's obviously not. He's having all these doubts, and he's obviously viewing me as an opportunist. And so she says, "Okay, fine. I need to leave in the morning. There's no way I'm gonna put this is putting me in such a position of guilt, of kind of really affronting her decency, I think." And she's like, okay, well, I'm leaving. And indeed, she packs up and she gets him to walk her away. And he's like, no, you can't leave. It's like, yes, I can. I'm not going to put up with this. And he's like, well, if she just wept a little bit and kind of begged for forgiveness, I would immediately forgive her. But she's like, if he had sort of said, if he begged her pardon a bit, she would immediately kind of capitulate. But she's not going to. And she quite rightly isn't. And so she leaves. And she leaves, and she feels like she doesn't have a friend in the world. And yeah, she's really in that bad, tough position again, of being kind of friendless, and of being, she thought she'd found that one other kind of decent person in this world. But I do think he's just too uptight. And speaking as somebody who has a hard time processing stuff and trusting stuff, it can be hard to kind of make that jump. But you can lose people that way, and he's losing her that way. So Anthony Trollope is a very, very good author. Hats off to Anthony Trollope yet again. I really love that. This is quite touching. Yeah, and I really love Margaret Mcknz. She is just so wonderful. All right, I will stop there. That's doing this slow read at this point, a couple of chapters at a time, which is actually not bad, which is good because I have lots of Shakespeare to try and get into my brain and actually think of something intelligent or interesting to put up as a video. All right. With that, I will say goodnight.